Andrew has professed his love for very young girls openly many times.
So you said it looks like I'm in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering.
In my opinion, Andrew Tate has already admitted to being a gay bald, so I don't like him. But I'm curious to see more Tate allegations and what's he's going to say.
All right, so things
here.
are not looking too good for the Tate brothers. The charges just keep piling up, and it's looking worse and worse for them. Even the biggest Tate fan account on Twitter can't deny how bad this looks. So it's getting really hard for the Tate fanboys to defend them at this point. And it seems like the only prominent media personalities that will still support them are people who are either being paid by them or are personally connected to them.
Yeah, Candace Owens, I assume, is the main one who's defending him, despite him admitting on video to grooming children.
Like this guy, Ryan Dawson, he admits
17 is not a minor in Slovakia or the UK, and webcamming isn't sex. What the hell? Well, genius take.
being paid by the Tates. And Fresh and Fit, Myron admits to spending a month with the Tates in Romania. And then Candace...
There's no way he's defending them, right? Is he still defending Andrew Tate? Guys, he's not a trafficker. He just lures women over to his mansion and holds their passports hostage so they can't leave the country and also aren't allowed to leave his house in case they try to escape. Two completely different things. The hilarious part about it is people will cope, but he's literally admitted to all of this on video. He's admitted to luring women to his mansion. He's admitted to taking their passports. He's admitted to drawing up tax documents that are not really for taxes and are just him taking all their money. Like, he's openly said that. And there's videos of him in the last two Lazy Try video we watched where he was talking about how he was like, 16-year-old girls, nothing wrong with that. It's like, really? There's nothing wrong with that, really? You're like in your 30s, bro. You're a freak.
Owens, who's probably the most influential person to still support them, she has a picture of Andrew in her home office, and her husband said he's known the Tates for years, like well before they're famous. So of course she's going to defend them because I'd imagine her husband has at least known about and possibly participated in some of the Tates' degeneracy. I mean, like Tate said,
I don't know if he took part in it, but he definitely knew about it. I mean, he defended him on his actions. He said, he's a complicated guy, but we all have, doc problems, but, Andrew Tate is really a good guy. I knew him before I was Andrew. And it's like, oh, so you knew him when he was like pimping girls? You knew him when he was running his webcam business with underage girls that he was trying to get involved? This guy should be in jail. He should have been in jail a long time ago. Everyone wants to be friends with a pimp. Doubt me? Epstein had access to... Look at his friends list. It's basic human psychology. I have the assets every man who's not a hating wishes they had. And the next best thing to being me is knowing me. Comparing yourself openly to Jeffrey Epstein, someone that Candace Owens has undoubtedly railed on, deservedly so, Jeffrey Epstein, but has undoubtedly railed on in the past as part of this giant conspiracy with all these politicians, which is true. That's real. Meanwhile, being friends with a guy who compares himself to Epstein and is admitted to doing the same exact thing. Andrew Tate should be in jail.
About himself in an old tweet, people were friends with him for the same reason people were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And if you remember, I talked about Candace and her husband's connection to the Tates in a previous video about them. And coincidentally, the next day after I posted that video, the Tate's house was raided and they're charged with trafficking a minor. Along with a bunch of other terrible stuff. And one of the accusations is in 2020, not too long ago. I mean, a lot of Tate fans say this all happened 10 years ago. It's all old news. He's changed. Even though it doesn't matter when this happened, it'd still be terrible. But
Andrew Tate is charged with repeatedly engaging... Is that the word? In sexual intercourse and oral sex with a 15-year-old girl in 2020. If you support Andrew Tate, you support this. Continuous acts with a minor without being able to establish the number of materials as offense provided for and punished by Article 220, Paragraph 1 and 4, with the application of blah, 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 starting from 4/12/2020, being at the home address in Jamal, Ilfov County, or in the complex in Pepera, called blank, where he rented an apartment to the victim, repeatedly engaged in sexual intercourse and oral sexual acts with the person named blank, knowing that she was 15 years old. Once again, Andrew Tate is not a cool guy. Initially I saw him, and once again, I have the guy disease where I see he has a bunch of money in cars and he's owning libtards, and I'm like, oh, base. And then I find out he's a... And I'm like, oh. And it's not even an allegation. He's admitted to it. It's not a situation where it's like, oh, it's just a criminal allegation. There's clips of Andrew Tate describing what he did in detail, unironically, to children. He's a disturbing guy. He's extremely disturbing.
But Andrew's being accused of having intercourse with a 15-year-old girl in 2020. And apparently there's a chat transcript that's going to be released or has been released that people say is too disturbing to even post on Twitter. And even the Tate fan account, the Tate news account, which is usually pro-Tate, they said there are official transcripts released by the Romanian courts that involve a 15-year-old minor Tate is allegedly accused of sleeping with, and they're truly disturbing and horrifying. I will not be posting them here as I risk my account being suspended. And then also Tate is being accused of trying to bribe the alleged victim. They said, Andrew told me when I got to Dicot I should only say good things about him just like the other person did, and he offered me the sum of 5,000 euros. And I wish I could say this is surprising, but the Tates have made it very clear they don't think there's anything wrong with having intercourse with a 15-year-old. You know, I played that compilation in my last video, but also there's some tweets from them, like Tristan.
I kind of want to bring up that compilation because it is like really telling, really telling. Yeah, this video.
Who was convicted of.
I said, what? And she's like, no, I think he's like actually in Romania.
By taking girls who didn't know how to.
Like someone who's talking about how bad pornography is and how bad prostitution is and how bad pedophilia is friends with somebody who makes his money off of all those things.
Be effective on webcam. Girls who had never done webcam before. Girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange.
Off camera, I think he would be the first person to admit that. Like he's a flawed human being.
I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this. Allowed me to retain 100% control of their income. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away.
How does she justify that? She ignores it. That's how she does it. She ignores it because he's a based guy who calls out the Jews, I guess.
I know Andrew pretty well, and like, you know, as I said, I know that he's full of flaws.
And obviously Andrew claims he's changed now and he's a better person. But I mean, back then, which wasn't that long ago, you know, I think just 4 or 5 years ago, he was clear.
Keep in mind, this is not when he was like 17 years old or something with like a 16-year-old. This is when he was in his 30s talking about this kind of shit with kids.
Really a terrible, awful human being. There's no way around it. And you'd wonder why somebody like Candace's husband would want to be friends with somebody like that. And I'm not saying this is the reason, but one time on Twitter, Andrew explained why people really wanted to be friends with him. And he said, everybody wants to be friends with the pimp. Doubt me? Epstein had access to pussy. Look at his friends list. It's basic human psychology. I have the assets every man who's not a hater wishes they had, and the next best thing to being me is knowing me. And if you remember when Tate first got arrested, everybody started comparing him to Epstein. And you would think, like, yeah, it's just people that hate him. Of course they're going to do that. But it was actually people on the right that were making that comparison to try to defend him, kind of. You know, people like Andrew Tate got arrested before any of Epstein's clients. Let that sink in. And whether Andrew Tate is guilty or not, they skip the entire Epstein client list because he's their enemy. And the people on that list.
Like, why even bring this up? Why is this even the thing to bring up? Like, yeah, obviously Epstein's client list should be in jail if they have proof of those people engaging unlawfully with minors. But that doesn't mean that Andrew Tate is a good guy. Like, this kind of thing is obviously going to be used as a defense for like, oh, well, if they're not going to care about Jeffrey Epstein, why should I care about Andrew Tate? And it's like, because he's a bald gay.
List aren't. And the media is distracting us with Andrew Tate, so a lawsuit against JP Morgan for aiding Epstein's trafficking can fly under the radar. And I'm not saying any of these people are involved with Tate at all, but I think it's just funny they're saying this because it actually sounds like they're using Epstein to distract from Tate. And then also, if you get arrested and everybody's like, yeah, well, what about Epstein? What does that say? You know, that is not a good look, especially if you consider Tristan Tate is being accused of trafficking a minor, and Andrew has professed his love for very young girls openly many times.
So you said it looks like I'm in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering, to be honest. You know, like that's exactly what you'd expect.
Like.
I'm fucking all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is in America. 18?
It's 18 usually. You get married at 16.
All right, in Romania, it's 16, sorry. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
Because Vivian...
Like, once again, this is just a completely detestable, moral human being. Like, he's completely immoral. He has no principles. His only principle is in benefiting himself. And like, he is funny and base sometimes. He'll say like the base things, but he only does that so he can gain more power over vulnerable underage women that he can then exploit for money. This guy is a horrible human being. Like, it sounds so soy to say. Like, I hate even saying that. I hate being on the libtard side with this one, but I have to be because he's a terrible person. You can't deny it, dude. You can't.
He said, remember guys, 30 is the first year
like
you
demonic.
can legally F a woman half your age. And some Americans call me P-word because I don't think 18 is the age of consent. It's 15, 16 almost everywhere else. And Andrew, he said, in the West, they've convinced everybody that a man who wants to have sex with a bunch of young models is a bad person and a weirdo, when it's actually the most natural thing in the world. So many people marry for image and F kids on the sly for pleasure. Kids don't talk. And these tweets are from around 2020 and 2021. So when you hear Andrew...
It's not even that long ago. He blew up in, what, 2021? It's not even that long ago. There's countless pieces of public claims of Andrew Tate saying exactly that. It's not even public claims. It's like him personally saying, admitting to it. And then people will defend this guy because they just want to ignore it because there's like a media empire built around having Andrew Tate on your podcast. Hello, my Bulgarian brother. I love you. Based. But yeah, it's like generally disgusting.
You might be having intercourse with a 15-year-old around this time. Doesn't seem that surprising. And then also there's another minor he's being accused of trafficking. And this is the girl that he admitted himself he met when she was 15.
So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28. Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
Because Vivian's younger. Vivian's younger.
I'm seeing these clips again, but you get the idea, right? Like, it's not even like this is why Tate believes in Islam, maybe. It's not even a question of like, did he do it or did he not? He's admitted to it. It's just a question of whether or not he'll go to jail for it. But whatever the case, like, this guy should be in jail. And if he's not in jail, then he shouldn't be being interacted with by people on massive platforms where they like virtue signal and promote him and say he's a good guy. And like, oh, you know, maybe he's done some bad stuff in the past, but he's a good guy now. It's like, would you ever forgive anybody who had any kind of inappropriate interaction with a minor? No, you would not. So why do it for Andrew Tate? It's because it's politically convenient for someone like Candace Owens to have him. And she has very little connection left. And because her husband was apparently friends with Andrew Tate for years before he got famous, which makes you think, what was going on there, you know? If you're friends with this guy and you're defending him publicly, what was going on?
Then apparently Tate was able to get evidence to corroborate that she was only 17 when she first started her cam model account, which is obviously under the legal age of making adult content. And that was in 2014. And this is the same girl that Andrew was beating with a belt in that video that got him kicked off Big Brother. And he said that was...
This girl actually defended him at some point, which was weird. Because now Tate has evidence of her being underage, but she seemingly lied for him. Because I had this in my old video about Tate. She seemingly lied for him to help him get out of trouble.
It was in 2012, so that would make her 15 years old in that video. And this girl has also talked about how she's seen guys choke their girlfriends so hard during sex that they kill them.
Behind like why some girls don't like it because they're scared they're gonna die. I've actually seen some guys actually accidentally how funny is that, actually accidentally kill their girlfriends during the sex because they were choking them that hard.
And it's insane
how was she in the room seeing that happen? What kind of weird sex parties has she been to? What the hell is going on? How has she seen that physically with her own eyes? Is that what she means, or she just heard about it? What the hell?
Casually she says that, like, yeah, I've seen guys choke their girlfriends to death before during sex. It's no big deal. I mean, this girl has some serious problems, which would make sense if she's been with Andrew Tate since she was 15 years old. Like, I'm sure she's been through a lot of and seen a lot of
Yeah, I mean, I think that much is obvious. It seems like the Tates have created this like ecosystem of vulnerable adult women and then also underage women who are obviously like necessarily vulnerable just by the fact that they're 15, 16, 17 years old, that he then ropes into his weird degenerate sexual lifestyle.
Like, also in the indictment, they talked about Andrew and this other alleged victim and how he was choking her so hard it burst a blood vessel in her eye. Like, they said Andrew was hitting her in the head with one hand and choking her with the other, which resulted in immense pressure felt by the victim as a result of strangulation. And according to the victim, she felt like she was on the verge of death. And obviously, these are still just allegations. I know Tate fans, their main defense.
It's not really an allegation, though. I mean, some of it is allegations, but some of it he's also admitted to. Like, is this specific thing an allegation? Legally, yes. But he's admitted to being a horrible person and doing weird shit with underage girls already on video, and like talked about how proud he is. And it's not like he was joking. You can tell when he's joking and he's not. You have to be an autistic person or completely delusional to think that some of the clips where he was talking about underage girls are him joking.
Defense is just, well, it's innocent until proven guilty. But I understand that. You know, I'm not saying they're guilty. I'm just stating some of the facts and talking about what's in the indictment and occasionally giving my opinion. And honestly, before he was ever charged with anything, I really didn't have anything against him. I thought he was pretty funny and I'd actually defend him. So I'm just trying to look at this objectively, which I know a lot of people have trouble doing. Like, I guarantee every Tate fan that's currently defending him, if you were to take somebody they dislike and basically accuse them of all the same stuff Tate is being accused of with all the same evidence, you know, take Hunter Biden or somebody on the left or somebody they dislike and put him in Tate's spot, they would definitely be the first ones to call him a PDF file and a trafficker and say they're R-wording girls. And,
True.
they would never give them the benefit of the doubt. Like Candace Owens, when she's talking about the Tates, she just sounds completely delusional. She'll spend all this time on her podcast.
But there's an audience for it. There's an audience that's willing to ignore even the compelling evidence against Tate. They're willing to ignore that because they're delusional. They're delusional, right? They believe that only people on one side of the political spectrum can be evil and people on the other can't. And they delusionally believe that every piece of evidence made of Tate is like made up, right? Like they probably think that the videos of Tate admitting to it are AI videos if they've even seen it. Who knows if they even have, because they just watch Candace Owens all day, and she'll never show that. She'll never show the actual evidence against Tate because it's not convenient for her.
Podcast talking about how bad adult content is and how the people that make it are using trafficked women, and everybody in power is a PDF file, and the media is always trying to cover for them and all this stuff. But then when it comes to the Tates, who are known for making adult content and made a lot of their money through that and have been accused of trafficking and having intercourse with a minor, what does she try to do? Cover for them. And she says people are just after them because they don't like what they say on the internet and their case is completely bogus. Like, it's insane that anybody could take her seriously after this. She's just destroying all her credibility, and it just makes me think, what is the dirt they have on her husband?
Men are cowards. I've been saying this for a very long time. I was trending over the weekend, speaking about how we have people in the media who won't even stand up against, men that won't stand up against.
Wow, how ironic. I wonder if she's like knowingly a grifter, like if she knows she's lying, or I wonder if she's somehow like mentally coping about it because Andrew Tate is like le-based guy who calls out the Jews or something, and because he is her husband's friend. I wonder how brainwashed she is, or if she knows she's lying and is just willing to do it because it's convenient for her to make money that way. She has to know.
Because they're worried about losing their station in life if they offend the wrong people. That's pathetic.
Yeah, if you offend the wrong people, you won't call Andrew Tate because you know you'll offend your audience and you won't get to do podcasts with him anymore. You lying, slimy, disingenuous loser. Weaselly little liar, dude. Literally lying to your audience. You suck.
It defies common sense when you understand what's happening in this world, when you understand what's happening at our border, when you understand the network of pedophiles that are in power, when you
like your friend Andrew Tate. Why would you ever want to beat a woman/girl? Disgusting. Good question.
Understand how the mainstream media works overtime to defend and protect those. It boggles the mind that there would be this much effort and coordination to take down the Tate brothers because some people don't like what they say on it.
But it's not about that. Obviously, there are like annoying people who don't like what they say. Obviously, like there are people who don't like that. But there are very credible allegations, and there's proof of them admitting to those allegations on video on YouTube right now that you can watch that you are ignoring. You liar. I hate this woman. I hate this woman so much, dude. She's so full of it. She's full of baloney even. It's actually disgusting. I hate this.
The internet. The Romanian case against them has been bogus for a very long time. And as I have said, I believe that in the end, in Romania, they will prevail. Now it's about money laundering? Is it about a webcam business?
Can it just be about all of them? Like, this is the thing people always say with court cases. It's like, oh, well, at first it was about this thing, and then it became about this thing. It's like, well, maybe it's all of it. Maybe there's a lot of different allegations, and there's a lot of crimes that they've committed that are being investigated right now. Oh, at first they were accused of just like hitting someone with their car, and then it evolved to actual murder because it was proven they intended to kill them and it wasn't just manslaughter. So which one is it? This year Obama said he's 48. Last year he said it was 47. Which one is it? It's like, are you an actual? The answer is yes, she is. She's a liar. I hate this woman.
Is it about human sex trafficking? Is it about all three, according to the public? Why does the media hate these two men so much when we know there are worse villains?
There are worse villains? Is there anything worse than like a child? I don't think there is. I don't think there is at all.
The people that are making billions off of pornography get arrested because we know for a fact that...
Why even bring this up once again? Like, just be consistent with your beliefs. If you don't like, then you should think that Andrew Tate probably should have been arrested anyway. If you think that should be illegal. He was making it for years and years and years. He's admitted to it. Why don't you have a problem with that? It's always a whataboutism. It's always like, oh, well, what about this other thing? And it's like, okay, well, maybe that is important. We can talk about that, but stop deflecting the conversation. Address the allegations, okay? When Bo Black says talk about the allegations, you need to do it. Talk about the allegations, Candace.
Those websites are trafficking, are using trafficked women. You ever seen them crack down on any of those? Why haven't they done that? So you want me to believe, you want me to essentially just, I guess, defy all of my sensibility for a moment.
You have no sensibility. You are a Down syndrome individual.
And believe that it's Andrew and Tristan Tate.
Yeah, so she's just completely losing.
What is wrong with this lady? She's dug into one side of politics and she will justify literally anything. Literally anything. Anything that goes against her narrative, she will justify it. She will ignore it. She will downplay it because it's inconvenient for her, and her listeners want to hear one thing, which is that Andrew Tate is based. That's all I want to hear. She's already so dug in. And not only that, if she did call it Andrew Tate, then she has static with her weirdo husband who was friends with Andrew Tate for years before Andrew was Andrew, according to her husband. Okay? That's why.
It here. I mean, I don't know how she doesn't realize how ridiculous this sounds. It's just so ironic. She's talking about how the media protects PDF files when it kind of seems like that's what she's trying to do. And it's just unbelievable. While she's defending the Tates from trafficking accusations, she says that adult content producers are using trafficked women to make the content, and the authorities should crack down on that. When that's literally what they're doing with the Tates. They're being accused of trafficking women and a minor to make adult content. And I'm pretty sure they're running their cam business basically up until they got raided the first time. And then also they used to teach a course on how to pimp out women, so they're probably responsible for a lot of people getting into it. So she just sounds ridiculous. And I've been covering this a lot over on Patreon. I've been talking about how Tate has been trying to clean up his image for the past few years by becoming religious and donating money, claiming to donate a lot of money to Palestine and different charities, which I don't believe he's donating anywhere near the amount he claims.
But even if he is, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I donated a bunch of money to Palestine. It's like, okay, well, you still you still bragged about having sex with 15 to 16-year-olds. So f you, bro. I don't care. I don't care at all. Good video by Too Lazy to Try. Once again, hit it out of the park. This guy's been cooking lately.